Hello, dreamweavers and stargazers. Welcome to Bedtime Universe. Get comfortable, loosen your jaw, soften your shoulders, and let the day slide off like a coat after a long journey. If you like, close your eyes. Before we begin, tell me, where are you listening from? And what time is it there? Picture your answer floating up like a little paper lantern, rising slow, joining thousands of tiny lights from listeners everywhere. A quiet constellation of people, wide awake together for just a moment, and then gently drifting towards sleep. Now, take a slow breath in and let it out. A little slower than you took it in. The room around you settles. A clock, somewhere, ticks like a friendly metronome. The air hums with the soft electricity of nighttime. And above the ceiling, above the roof lines and power lines, above the wandering planes and weather, the sky opens. You don't have to move an inch to travel there. Your attention, all by itself, is a perfect starship. Tonight, it will carry you across a map made of calm, from close by to far away, and then farther still. Start with just one point of light. If you're indoors, imagine it. If you can see it, even better. One star. Patient, steady. Pretend you can reach up and pinch it gently between your fingers. It isn't diminished by your touch. Instead, it brightens. And when it does, the world around you gets quieter. Noise drops off like pebbles from a shoreline. Measured breath in and out. The bright pinprick blooms into a slow river of glow, and now your star becomes a little guide, a silver thread leading you to the edge of sleep. Let's wander to the moon first, the neighbor who never forgets to check the porch light. Imagine you're gliding, unhurried, toward a soft gray world that wears every crater like a story and every plane like a sigh. It has no clouds, no oceans, just a silence so deep it feels like velvet. You drift over the rim of a shallow crater. Its shadows are like cool water. Down on its floor, moon dust rests in powder so fine it remembers every footstep. The sunlight here is honest and simple, pouring across jagged stones, turning each one into a small sculpture. If you hover long enough, you can almost hear it, the hush of sunlight landing on a place that knows how to be still. From here, the earth is a marble hung in black silk. You can see it turning, slow and dignified, like someone turning a globe with two fingertips. You notice the blues first, the patient sweep of oceans, and then the greens and browns, the clouds unfurling in soft spirals that whisper everything is moving, and it's okay to rest. Somewhere on that blue world, there is a room with you in it, a bed with your outline, a window with your night. You wave, the earth waves back, or maybe it's your imagination. Either way, the feeling is true. Now, deeper. You tilt like a feather caught in a warm current and slip past the orbit of the moon. Out here, distances grow gentle and generous. The sun, behind you, becomes a warm coin of light. The planets arrange themselves like quiet elders along a winter road, each with its own personality, each content to circle and circle, never in a hurry, never late. Mercury passes with a flash of oven-hot stone. Venus glows under a gauzy veil, beautiful and private. Mars leans red and thoughtful, dust sighing across hills that wait with a patience you can feel in your bones. As you float, your breath sets the pace. In, out, the way a tide knows how to come home. You thread the lanes where little asteroids amble like sleepy sheep. You visit a comet with a bright white tail and learn the trick of not minding the long loop it takes, years and years to swing around before it says hello again and again. It reminds you that everything worthwhile knows how to keep a rhythm, and that your own rhythm is enough. Beyond, the giant worlds, Jupiter banded and grand, Saturn crowned in rings as delicate as spun glass, Uranus and Neptune with their deep blue hush. You drift by the rings and see that they're not solid at all, but a billion cool pieces keeping company Icy pebbles, little moons in waiting, quiet as flakes in a snow globe. They teach you a soft secret. Even when you feel scattered, you're still part of a ring, still belonging, still making a circle around a quiet center. Your attention keeps traveling, not with force, but with easy curiosity. Past the boundary, where the sun's breath thins. Past the frontier, where our star's voice becomes a lullaby heard from the next room. Here, in the gentle dark, a little craft sails on, still carrying whispers from home. Imagine your name tucked into that whisper. Just the sound of someone saying it kindly. You sail alongside for a moment, long enough to feel how even the farthest voyager remembers the direction of warm light. Now lift your gaze farther. The black isn't empty. It's waiting. Ahead, the stars gather in cities of light galaxies with their own suburbs, their own slow avenues. We're going to visit a place called the Quiet River of Stars. It isn't a river like the ones that carve canyons and rattle over stones. It's a lane of starlight running from horizon to horizon, a milk-pale band where clouds of dust and glittering suns drift together. If you stand under a country sky and see that soft band crossing the night, that's it. The river overhead, carrying reflections of places you'll never need to hurry to reach. Wade in. The water is made of photons, cool on your ankles, then your knees. Every step you take makes a sound, like pages turning in a favorite book. Some stars are newborn, wrapped in gauze like nebulae, swaddled in rose and blue. Others are comfortable elders, orange and easygoing, the kind that warm planets like hearthstones. You pause at a cluster of young stars, all bright curiosity, and you remember the kitchen quiet of childhood, when the refrigerator hummed and a nightlight painted the hallway with a square of gold. The memory and the light fold together, and the river carries both without spilling a drop. Listen, there is a background hum here, an afterglow, faint and ancient. It's the soft echo of the first bright moment, stretched thin over time, like a lullaby sung by someone standing far down a hallway. You don't have to analyze it. Just feel how everything has a beginning, and how every beginning calms into something you can live inside of. The hum moves through you, the way warm tea moves through a chilled pair of hands. You relax. Your jaw loosens more. Your breath finds a slower groove. We'll drift past a cradle of stars and into a small, quiet town of night called a globular cluster. Imagine a snow globe shaken exactly once, then set down with care. The snow doesn't fall quickly. It takes its time, and while it floats, you float with it. Stars here are neighbors. They greet each other with old, bright nods. They have seen storms and stillness and the comings and goings of comets, and none of it has made them hurry. To stand among them is to learn without words how to be patient with your own heart. Sometimes your mind tries to hand you a to-do list, even out here. That's okay. Lists are just little birds. Let each one land on a branch and sit a while. Then watch it lift away, beating soft wings, growing smaller until the night keeps it kindly. Your body gets heavier in the best way, like a sleepy cat discovering the warmest square of sunlight on the couch. Every part of you says yes to the gravity of rest. From the cluster, we'll pass a nebula that looks, somehow, exactly like hope. It moves the way curtains move in a slow ocean breeze. Threads of gas twist gently, braided by light you can't see, but can feel on your skin. You reach out, no rush, and trail your fingers through it. It trails its fingers through you, too. You're not just in the universe is in you. That sensation is a simple truth, like the click of a lamp turning off, like the way your chest lifts and lowers without needing any instructions. Here's a small secret you can keep under your pillow. Every star you see is older than any worry you carried today, and every star still finds time to glow. You can borrow that, You can glow a little, quietly, just for you, not for anyone watching. A glow of relief, a glow of enough, a glow of I am allowed to rest. Let's float toward a spiral galaxy. From a distance, it looks like someone traced a seashell out of light, turning the spiral with a patient hand. Up close, it's made of neighborhoods, side streets of dust, gardens of starbirth, alleyways of shadow that make the bright parts brighter. On one porch, a blue-white star laughs with a ring of worlds. On another, a red dwarf hums a tune so low it's mostly felt, not heard. You drift down these lanes as if on a bicycle with no chain, tires whispering, hands loose on the handlebars. Every corner offers a new sentence of calm. There's a quiet bench at the galaxy's center, an imaginary bench, but no less real for that, and we pause there. The bench faces everything. It belongs to everyone. Sit with me a moment. Your feet find the ground. Your spine remembers what comfortable feels like without working at it. There's nothing to figure out here, even the questions that tried to follow you. What if? When will? Did I forget? Realize there's nowhere to land and fold themselves into the night like paper boats drifting out of sight. If you want, picture someone kind, your favorite person, your future self, a guardian you invent on the spot, sitting beside you on the bench. They don't need to speak. They ascribe no meaning to your thoughts. They just keep you company. Your chest loosens again. The muscles behind your eyes soften. You can imagine sleep like a door, slightly ajar, a few rooms away, light spilling softly into the hall. And you're walking toward it. No hurry. Every step. The easiest thing you've done all day. We stand unhurried and keep gliding. A gentle wind rises. Not a wind of air, but a wind of time. And it carries us past the places where star stories end, where cores grow quiet and shells drift out like dandelion seeds. Even the endings are soft out here. Not slamming doors, but lanterns politely dimming. The universe understands how to put itself to bed. You are learning by being near it, closer to home now. As we move, a handful of meteors stitch quick threads of silver across the dark, like someone mending a favorite quilt. The sight is brief and perfect. It reminds you that most beautiful things don't ask for an audience. They do what they do and let go, and you can too. Your breath continues its tide work. Your heartbeat places small stones along the shore, a steady, reassuring rhythm. The mind counts them without even meaning to. In, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, and between counts, the spaces widen, the way silence widens after a bell. We pass the cold, clean kingdom at the edges of our stars, reach icy worlds with slow, elegant years. They are not lonely. They are the experts of winter. If you listen closely, you can hear the lesson they carry. Slowness isn't a flaw. Waiting is a kind of wisdom. Your body hears it and answers by becoming heavier, safer, a little closer to sleep with every mile. There's a small blue planet up ahead, familiar. Beloved, the one whose rivers know your name. Clouds braid and unbraid above continents like the quiet work of friendly giants. You slip back into the cradle of its gravity as easily as you pull a blanket around your shoulders. City lights connect in messy constellations. Ocean swells wink in the moonlight. Somewhere, the wind is moving through tall grass. Somewhere else, snow is tucking rooftops under a featherweight hush. Everywhere, without being told, night is doing its gentle job. Your attention comes down through the sky like a leaf spiraling toward a pond, drifting through the hush above neighborhoods. Over a silver ribbon of highway, past a string of porch lamps, glowing like patient fireflies. You recognize your own window, its particular rectangle, its particular invitation. You pass through the glass as if it were warm water. The temperature of your room greets you. The shape of your pillow calls you by your quiet name. Lie down fully now, if you haven't already, and feel the mattress relearn you. Notice 3 points of contact, maybe shoulder, hip, heel, or head, elbow, ankle. Notice 3 sounds: a distant car, the hush of air, the soft inside of your breath. Notice 3 places where you can let go 1% more: behind the knees, between the eyebrows, the tiny hinge where the jaw meets the ear. Let go there, and there, and there, as if you were setting down 3 smooth stones. I'll leave you with a simple picture. Imagine your thoughts as stars on a slow-moving ceiling. You don't chase them, you don't swat at them. You let them appear, glow, and drift beyond the edge of the room. When a new one arrives, you smile a little, the way you might smile at a train car sliding by a crossing, and then you return to the empty track after it passes, which is to say, you return to your breath. If another picture feels kinder, take this one. You are a small boat on a deep, friendly lake at night. The water supports you completely. The oars are tucked inside. You don't need them. The sky is a bowl of light, and your boat and the stars agree to mirror each other. You above, them below, the whole scene so calm that you forget which way is up. The universe exhales. So do you. The boat rocks. Once, twice, and then barely at all. And if words still want to linger, we'll offer them a mantra to hold while they grow drowsy. Say it or hear it, no effort. Just noticing. I am safe. I am carried. I am allowed to rest. Again, I am safe. I am carried. I am allowed to rest. Now even the mantra can fade into the background, a low shoreline behind your breathing. Your eyelids grow heavier, and when they close, you'll find the same sky waiting for you on the inside. It always has. The stars are not a performance. They are a permission slip. Wherever you're listening from, whatever time it is there, you've done enough for today. You've traveled far, not in miles, but in softness. And there's nothing left to do but sleep. Let the quiet river of stars run above your roof and through your dreams. Let your boat drift. Let gravity be the hand at your back, guiding you home. The room is simple. The night is kind. The universe is singing very softly, and you are welcome to close your eyes and drift and drift and drift. All right, the next story we settle into is about deep time, the faint hum of cosmic interconnection, and a mystery that only began to unfold when everything in the outer solar system aligned in a way no physicist thought possible. This is the tale of Project Lachesis and the unsettling whispers carried on the solar wind during the solstice of Eridanus. Part 1. The arrival of the rogue shepherd. In the cold, perpetual darkness that lies beyond the Kuiper Belt, past the final, lonely sentinels of ice and rock, a celestial body was moving. It wasn't a comet, pulled by the sun's fierce gravity. It wasn't a Kuiper Belt object, tethered to the ecliptic plane. It was an object catalogued as Xylos, a rogue exoplanet, roughly the mass of Mars, traveling on an impossibly shallow hyperbolic trajectory that was bringing it into our Oort cloud, yet not towards our Sunday. Imagine the Oort cloud, that vast spherical shell of icy debris as the very edge of our sun's dominion, a shimmering, silent boundary between the known and the interstellar void. For millennia, it has remained undisturbed, a frozen record of the solar system's birth. But Xylos, this quiet, dense traveler, was slicing through it like a ghost ship through heavy mist. The scientists at Project Lachesis, operating out of a subterranean complex in the Atacama, initially dismissed it as a statistical anomaly. Xylos was too dense to be a captured object, too distant to be a planet, and its velocity was subtly wrong. It was moving too slowly, yet with an inexplicable rotational frequency. Doctor, Elias Thorne, head of the project, often described it to his interns as a silent shepherd, because its passage wasn't causing gravitational chaos. Instead, the distant cometary bodies ahead of it seemed to be settling, their orbits becoming unnaturally orderly, as if drawn into a state of subtle rotational peace. This state of uncanny quietude was the first clue. Gravity, we understand. Chaos, we anticipate. But this induced cosmic order suggested a force that was less about brute mass and more about resonant fields. Xylos was not just moving through space. It was interacting with the fabric of space-time in a way our current models could only vaguely predict, leaving a wake of unnatural stillness in its path. We often forget that space is not empty. It's a plasma-infused medium, a vast electrical conductor. And Xylos seemed to be tuning it. Part 2. The Silence of the Sentinel. Roughly 2 months after Xylos's initial detection, and just as it entered the inner Oort cloud boundary, our attention was wrenched toward the very frontier of interstellar space, Voyager 1. The oldest, loneliest messenger humanity has ever launched, now traveling through the turbulent, magnetically active realm of the interstellar medium. For decades, Voyager's plasma wave subsystem had been sending back a steady, albeit faint, recording of the density and magnetic pressure outside the Sun's influence. It was the sound of space, a low, oscillating hum. Then, at 3:17 UTC on the morning of the solstice, the hum stopped. Not a sudden catastrophic failure, which would have indicated a micrometeorite strike or power loss. Instead, the data stream showed a perfect, complex harmonic spike, a signature so mathematically pure, it initially triggered a data corruption warning. The spike lasted exactly 4.83 seconds, and then the plasma wave detector went dead. Silence. A digital void that stretched for 3 hours before the system miraculously rebooted, only to report normal but inexplicably weakened background noise. Dr. Thorne, a man who rarely used adjectives stronger than noteworthy, called the initial 4.83-second burst a signature of deliberate compression. The energy was not random. It was structured, like a perfect chord struck on a gigantic interstellar string. It suggested that a colossal wave of structured energy, perhaps an extremely low-frequency electromagnetic pulse, had washed over the probe. A wave that carried a pattern, not noise. What was the common thread? Xylos was still hundreds of billions of kilometers away from Voyager, yet the moment of the signal's emission was calculated to have perfectly intersected with the time Xylos crossed a major heliopause boundary relative to the plane of the ecliptic. It was a conjunction of events separated by unimaginable distances, yet connected by a single, terrifying timestamp. Part 3. The geometric veil of Saturn. The third, and perhaps most beautiful piece of the puzzle, appeared orbiting the ringed jewel of the solar system, Saturn. Saturn's rings are a masterpiece of chaos and gravity, billions of particles of ice and dust, constantly colliding, shaped by the push and pull of its many moons. The ring system is dynamic, complex, and utterly predictable under the laws of physics. However, a global amateur astronomy collective, monitoring Saturn's rings for the annual Mimas resonance shift, captured something unprecedented. A new, perfectly defined, faint K-ring had formed in the outer F-ring zone. This ring was not a cloud of particles, it was a structure. It possessed a lattice-like geometry that was visible only under specific infrared spectrums, forming a series of non-Keplerian shapes, squares, tetrahedrons, and perfect hexagons that rotated not by gravitational rules, but by an internal, synchronous frequency. The material forming the K-ring was not typical water ice. Spectroscopic analysis suggested charged silicates infused with rare earth plasma, and its formation was instantaneous, not gradual. It appeared overnight, on the very day the Voyager signal went silent. This geometric construction, defying the mathematics of orbit mechanics, suggested an active manipulation of the magnetic field lines. Saturn is a giant magnetic dynamo. Its rings are essentially vast plasma screens. The K-ring was acting like a colossal circuit board, holding impossible shapes in place through an unseen electromagnetic framework. Thorne theorized it was a triangulation point. The rogue planet Xylos, the charged particle field of the Oort cloud, and the magnetic field of Saturn were not three separate entities. They were nodes in an ancient, forgotten network. Part 4. The inevitable alignment. The ultimate realization lay in the calendar. The solstice of Eridanus. This wasn't a modern alignment. It was an ancient, calculated celestial moment when the center of the Milky Way galaxy, the plane of the solar system, and the most distant star in the Eridanus constellation that the ancients could track, all fell into a near-perfect 33.3-degree angle. This particular angle, according to obscure astronomical texts recovered from a forgotten observatory in the Himalayas, was called the angle of zero entropy, the point where the flow of cosmic energy achieves maximum coherence. Every event that had transpired, the calming field around Xylos, the perfect harmonic spike from Voyager, and the geometric formation of Saturn's K-ring, had been timed not to the modern Julian date, but to this ancient, almost mythic solstice. The hypothesis: what if the solar system, with its planets, its magnetic fields, and its plasma sheaths, was not merely a mechanical clockwork, but a vast, organic, resonating instrument? And what if Xylos wasn't a rogue planet, but a key, a massive, natural tuning fork, designed to enter a specific region of the Oort cloud at a specific time, to induce a coherent magnetic field resonance that would travel through the interstellar medium, strike the Voyager probe at the perfect instant, and finally, activate the solar system's primary magnetic node, Saturn, to display a geometric signal. The signal wasn't a radio transmission. It wasn't a light pulse. It was a structure. A temporary, perfect architectural arrangement in the plasma of the rings. A message written in the language of pure physics and geometry, lasting only a few weeks until the solstice alignment broke. The whispers carried by the solar wind were not random. They were the gentle hum of this cosmic mechanism coming to life after eons of silence. Epilogue. The deep hum of connection as we watch the solstice pass and the K-ring slowly dissolves back into the random chaos of Saturn's dust. We are left not with answers, but with a profound sense of awe. The events suggest a vast, interconnected ecology of energy, where the movements of a single rogue body can ripple across light years and awaken ancient, dormant physics. It forces us to reconsider what coincidence truly means in a universe defined by laws we have barely begun to scratch the surface of. Perhaps the greatest lesson from Xylos, Voyager, and Saturn's geometric veil is this: we are not observers in a cold, silent universe. We are living within a massive, intricately wired machine that occasionally, gently, and with infinite patience, sends us a message written in the language of stars and magnetic fields. Rest now. Let your mind drift with the slow, resonant currents of the cosmos. The universe is awake, and its humming is the softest lullaby. Good night. This next story unfolds like a slow river of light, flowing through the galaxy and straight into your imagination. It is not rushed. It does not demand, only offers its calm, like the night sky itself. Begin by picturing yourself under a truly dark sky, no city glow, no neon signs, just you, the quiet earth beneath your back, and above you a pale river of light. That soft ribbon is the plane of our Milky Way, the view from inside our own spiral home. We are looking edge-on through a grand disk of stars, hundreds of billions of them, each one burning in perfect, silent persistence. If the night is clear, You'll notice mottled patches and dim lanes where dust clouds drift, sculpting the light into curtains and folds. That hazy beauty is not far away. It's our neighborhood, our address in the cosmos, and lying beneath it you can almost feel the galaxy breathe. Let your attention rest on a single star. It looks steady to your eye, a silver pin, yet that small light is a sun, with weight and heat and years enough to send you its glow across gulfs so wide they blur into time. The light you see left that sun long ago. It traveled quietly, never hurried, slipping through space until, tonight, it touches you. In this moment, you are reading an ancient postcard. Whatever your day held, messages, tasks, worries, none of them can chase light across years. You are safe here, held inside an old, patient story. Now, soften your gaze. The familiar patterns return: Orion rising in the cool months, Cassiopeia poised like a simple crown, the Big Dipper pouring toward the horizon. We call them constellations, but they're more like gentle chapters in a sky-wide book. Their shapes are not fixed. Over immense spans of time, stars drift with unhurried grace, rewriting the outlines of hunters and queens. The sky, you know, is a snapshot in a long, serene dance. Even change, on these scales, is tranquil. Let's wander inward, between the stars, into the interstellar medium space that is not empty but filled with thin veils of gas and dust. Imagine clouds so vast that a beam of light crosses them for years, and yet so delicate that a teaspoon of air on Earth holds more particles than a kilometer of that cloud. In these gauzy nurseries, gravity does its quiet work, tugging gently, gathering specks into clumps, clumps into knots, knots into hot, shining beads. A star is born not with a shout, but with patient accumulation, one grain, then another, until fire begins and a new light joins the river. Out at the edge of your vision, a blur blooms. The Andromeda galaxy, our great neighbor. Its glow set out toward us when early humans were first finding their stride. Andromeda is huge, 1 trillion stars washing together into that single soft smudge. You can stretch out a hand and, with a fingertip, cover an entire island of suns. And in that gesture, you learn something gentle and important. The universe is vast, yes, but it is also reachable to the heart. Even a faint smear of light can carry the weight of millions of worlds and arrive as a whisper that says, "You belong here." Every so often the night sprinkles a brief spark, one thin line, then gone. A meteor is often a grain of dust surrendering to our sky, brushing the air so quickly that it burns, writing a single glowing sentence and fading with perfect timing. We pass through these dusty trails each year, and the heavens answer with showers that arrive like annual lullabies. Perseids, Geminids, Leonids, each with its own subtle rhythm. If you've ever made a wish on a shooting star, you've practiced the oldest astronomy, paying attention and letting wonder open a door inside you. Turn to the moon now, a familiar companion, gentle and constant. Watch its phases flow, a fine silver thread, a letter D, a chalky coin, a lantern strong enough to throw shadows across fields. Its light is sunlight, softened sunlight that has touched dust and old lava plains, bounced back and draped the world with milk. The moon's pull cradles the oceans into tides and, in a way, cradles us too. When its bright face climbs your window, you can almost hear a rhythm, slow as breath, reliable as sleep. And the wanderers' planets write their own calm notes across the sky. Venus glows like a candle held close. Jupiter steadies itself with a kingly brightness. And if you peer through a small telescope, you may see its 4 major moons, little pearls in a line, changing positions night to night in a miniature ballet. Saturn appears with a restrained majesty, its rings a thin hymn around a world of pale gold. No rush, no clamor, just orbits drawn with patient ink. Near the tops of the world, and near the bottoms too, the sky sometimes sings in color. Curtains ripple green and pink, as if the night has grown translucent wings, the aurora. Charged particles stream in from the sun and meet our air. Atoms glow, and the darkness becomes a living thing. You stand under it in winter, boots crunching, breath clouding, and you feel the quiet of cold. And above that quiet, a moving light that seems to breathe with you. There are places in the cosmos where matter thins, where entire superclusters give way to great, gentle voids. Imagine drifting through one of those vast clearings, where galaxies are rare and the dark is almost perfectly deep. Solitude there is not loneliness, it is spaciousness, the universe giving itself a wide, calm room. In such places you learn that emptiness too can be generous. Beneath everything hums a background, an ancient glow stretched into microwaves, the after warmth of a young cosmos cooling enough to let light slip free. It is everywhere at once, a faint blanket cast over all of space. Knowing it's there is like discovering that the house you're resting in has a heartbeat in the walls. A soft, steady reminder that everything began warm and bright, and has been unfolding, unhurried, ever since. Planets form the way rest arrives, bit by bit. Dust collects into pebbles, pebbles into rocks, rocks into bodies that sweep the path clean as they grow. Heat sparking, surfaces softening, atmospheres gathering like sighs. Millions of years pass without any need for hurry, and out of that patience come worlds some icy and blue, some stormy and striped, some silent, stony, and ready to cradle a tiny lake or a future footstep. Gravity is the quiet law that keeps every promise. It tucks you into your mattress while it conducts galaxies in sweeping arcs. The same pull that sets tides and bends starlight is the soft insistence you feel when you choose to stay, to rest, to let thoughts settle like snow in a still globe. When you exhale, you can almost feel gravity smooth the air over you like a blanket. Remember too, the silence. Space carries no sound, no echo of flame, no rattle of stones, only the choreography of light and gravity and time. If you've ever stepped into a forest after snowfall and felt the whole world hush, the sky's silence is that, multiplied until even your worries feel embarrassed to speak. In that quiet, the mind does not need to be loud. It can simply note, I am here, I am safe, I am small, and that is peaceful. Out beyond, quasars blaze distant, powerful, and by the time their signals reach us, very gentle. Their energy has been spread thin across unthinkable distances, arriving as a faint, ancient murmur. Even the universe's most dramatic events soften with time and space, teaching us that intensity can fade into harmony. During the day, the stars are still above you, wrapped in blue. They do not leave. They wait. That constancy is a kindness. The sky is never truly empty, merely veiled. If you were to rise above the air itself, you'd see them again, steady and honest, even while the sun stands bright. What is hidden is not gone. What is quiet is not absent. The Milky Way and Andromeda drift toward each other, and in a few billion years they will overlap, swirl, and settle into a new shape. It will look dramatic if you could watch it sped up, but in real time, it is a slow waltz stars, mostly slipping past stars. Night after night, century after century, until a new, larger calm emerges. The universe is an artist who never hurries. Every stroke is patient. Between clusters, the dark grows cool close to the coldest temperature nature allows. Think of that not as harshness, but as a perfect stillness, a room kept for deep rest. In such quiet cold, heat is precious, and every small glow, every candle star, feels like a friend. Stars live and stars rest. Small red ones sip their fuel for ages. Big blue ones burn with brief, brilliant vigor. Sun-like stars one day puff gently, shedding their outer layers into glowing shells that hang like lanterns in the dark planetary nebulae. delicate and short-lived on cosmic scales, brief artworks exhaled by a life well spent. The cores cooled to white dwarfs, embers that shine on in peace. From the ashes of heavier stars, new elements scatter iron for blood, oxygen for breath, carbon for softness and sweetness. We carry star stories in our cells. There is a mystery woven into the fabric of space, a pressure that urges everything to drift apart a little faster than gravity would prefer. Dark energy, we call it, a name that is really an open door. You don't need to solve it to be soothed by it. It is the universe's long, slow tide, out, 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 a promise that there is room to grow. For all of human history, we have looked up for direction. The North Star steadies our maps. Bright seasonal stars frame our harvests and our voyages. Even now, when satellites whisper us our coordinates, the sky remains a strong, simple compass. Look north, there is Polaris. Look east before dawn. The zodiac lifts another bright traveler. Guidance doesn't have to be loud to be true. Each observation we make, each sketch of a moon, each exposure of a distant cluster, each faint line in a spectrum is a page gently turned. The universe is a book with no last chapter, and somehow that is the most restful thought. You are not late to understanding. You are simply here for your part of the reading, and that is enough. Cosmic rays drift through all this, a fine, almost transparent rain of particles from faraway fireworks. They pass largely unnoticed, reminders that even in stillness there is a subtle exchange with the wider world. Quiet does not mean nothing is happening. Quiet can mean everything is happening without asking anything from you. Time, on these scales, is soft. It stretches, it flows, it forgives. Stars measure it in millions of years, galaxies in billions. When you hold your life against that canvas, worries shrink to manageable size. There is space to breathe. There is permission to rest. Lift your eyes once more and let them fill with starlight. See how the sky does not demand, it only offers. The longer you look, the more it gives faint clusters at the edge of vision. A dark lane you hadn't noticed. A slow satellite crossing like a moving punctuation mark. If your thoughts begin to wander, let them. If your breath slows, let it. If sleep approaches like a tide, welcome it. As you lie back under this wide, serene ceiling, remember, you are built from ancient light and cooled fire, from the dust of old suns and the water of wandering comets. The laws that hold galaxies together hold you together, gently and without fail. You are not separate from the night. You are a chapter of it. Let the darkness now be a cradle. Let gravity tuck the blankets. Let the moon stand guard at your window, and let the stars hum their silent melody, each one a distant lamp kept lit for you. There is nothing you must solve, nothing you must fix, nowhere else you need to be. The universe has been unfolding for eons without hurry, and tonight it invites you to practice the same grace. Breathe in and out. Feel the floor steady beneath you, the air cool on your skin, the quiet curve of your own pulse. With every gentle breath, the sky seems closer, as if leaning down to listen. Allow yourself to drift. The constellations will keep watch, the planets will move on their patient paths, and the river of the Milky Way will flow on, low and silver, until morning. Thank you for wandering with me across this calm, lantern-lit ocean. May your sleep be deep and unbroken, your dreams spacious and bright. Until we meet again beneath the quiet stars, keep looking up. Keep your heart open to wonder. And rest, knowing the universe holds you softly in its endless night. And now, as the night grows deeper and the world grows quieter, let us drift into our next journey. A story carried on the darkness above us. A story written in light. Tonight, we will follow what poets once called a river across the heavens, a gentle current of stars flowing silently through the sky. This story is called The Quiet River of Stars. Close your eyes and picture a place without the noise of lamps or screens. A place where the air settles cool on your skin and the horizon is a clean black bowl. In that bowl, the river appears soft, milky, faint at first, as if someone brushed white chalk from one horizon to the other. This is the band of our own galaxy seen from within, a sideways view of the spiral disk that holds us. People have named it for as long as we have looked up. A road of light, a milk spill of the gods, a path for souls, a sky river. Astronomers give it a simpler name, the Milky Way. But names are just doors. The wonder is what you feel when you step through. If your eyes are dark adapted, 20 minutes without bright light, no phone, no car, headlights, the band lifts itself out of the background. You begin to notice texture. The river is not smooth. It is threaded with dark inlets and quiet eddies where the light thins. Those are not holes at all, but lanes of interstellar dust, thin as smoke and wide as light years, drifting between the stars and absorbing their glow. Along the band are brighter knots and hazy patches where new stars are kindling inside clouds of hydrogen. Somewhere near the middle, low on a summer night in the south, the river swells into a soft bulge. That is the direction of the galactic center, toward the constellations Sagittarius and Scorpius, where the star clouds are dense and the dust lanes cut like long black rivers within the river. We stand on a small world circling a very ordinary star. Our sun is a yellow-white dwarf among hundreds of billions, set out on a suburban lane called the Orion Arm. Some call it the Orion Cygnus Arm, or simply the local arm, a minor spiral lane between two larger ones. Perseus on one side and Scutum Centaurus on the other. From this neighborhood, we look edge-on through the disk, and the light piles up, star behind star behind star, until the sky looks like spilled milk to the human eye. If you could jump out of the galaxy and look from above, you would see the disk as a broad spiral about 100,000 light-years across, with the sun not at the center but off to one side, roughly 26 to 28,000 light-years from the core. Numbers can feel large. Let them slow your breathing. A single light-year is the distance light travels in a year. The starlight taking shape as that pale band tonight began its journey long before your grandparents were born, and in some parts of the band, long before humans ever spoke. There is a black heart at the center, but not empty dense. A supermassive black hole we call Sagittarius A*, about 4 million times the mass of our sun, sits in the core like a city's weight under all the light. Around it, the bulge is crowded with old stars. Their orbits are tight, their dances swift. Astronomers have watched some of those stars loop the black hole in short centuries and decades, their paths bending under a gravity that is both invisible and absolute. You cannot see any of that from a dark field, of course. What you see is the echo. The middle of the river grows brighter and wider, and the dust lanes cut across it like slow thunderheads. Downstream and upstream from that swelling, the band thins and threads through the constellations like a silk ribbon, through the tail of Scorpius, through the teapot shape of Sagittarius, up past the eagle Aquila, across the bright cross of Cygnus and its long tail to Deneb, curving toward Cassiopeia's crooked W in autumn, and back down through the horns of Taurus in winter. Listen to the quiet of that river. Beneath its light is a weather of gas and dust, mapped not by clouds and rain, but by faint glows at specific colors. Hydrogen, breathing in a deep red, we call H-alpha. Oxygen in a soft teal, dust grains scattering blue like smoke. The glow is not a roar, but a whisper. New stars form in cocooned nurseries. The Orion Nebula, a flowering knot in the sword of Orion. The Carina Nebula, bright and knotted in the southern sky. The Lagoon and Trifid in Sagittarius. Side by side, one, a wide pool of glowing hydrogen, the other, a pale blossom banded by dust. In those places, gravity gathers gas until the pressure and temperature rise high enough for hydrogen to fuse into helium and light, and a star is lit. For millions of years, radiation and stellar winds carve caves and pillars out of the clouds, and when the most massive stars end, they end with a generosity that shakes their neighborhoods. A supernova enriches the surrounding gas with heavier elements, the stuff of planets and rock and you. The river recycles. The river teaches the same old lesson softly. Endings and beginnings are parts of one flow. Where you stand matters. At mid-latitudes, the Milky Way arches like a great bridge from south to north in summer. In the tropics, the core climbs high, and the river thickens overhead, finer texture, more star cloud, more dark lane. In winter, the band tilts, and though the core is hidden on your side of the planet, the river still threads through Orion and Gemini, lace fine and quieter. From the far south, different reaches are revealed, the Southern Cross standing near the riverbank like a marker. We forget, under city domes and office ceilings, that the sky changes with season and latitude. The river reminds us, if we let it. The facts can be gentle, if we speak them softly. The disk that makes this band is not flat as a plate. It is warped, as if a slow hand had lifted its edges unevenly. The sun and its planets ride a wavy midplane, dipping above, then below the disk, over tens of millions of years. Our star orbits the center at roughly 200 kilometers per second, and a full lap around the galaxy, the so-called galactic year, takes something like 200 to 250 million Earth years. Think of that. One slow turn of the river's wheel, and the calendar on your wall is emptied 1,000 times. In that span, continents drift, mountains lift and wear away, new languages are born and forgotten, and the sky rivers for every creature who looks up is both the same and not quite the same, because our vantage point is always moving, always slightly changed. Far beyond the disk are the globular clusters, old and round, each a ball of ancient stars, hundreds of thousands gathered into spheres that drift in the galaxy's halo like lanterns at a festival. They are not on the river itself. They are like lights hung in high trees along the banks, thick with red giants and blue stragglers. Their chemistry, old and spare. Look for M13 in Hercules, a hazy cotton knot with a steady heartbeat of stars. Look for 47 Tucanae in the south, a larger, brighter hive of sun candles, densely packed. Those clusters are fossils of early times. The river runs newer in the disk, where gas still pools and stirs. There is a quiet address you can memorize if it helps you sleep. You live in the local bubble, a kind of low-density cavity in the interstellar medium, likely carved by ancient supernovae long ago. That bubble overlaps with your neighbor's bubbles like soap suds, and on its walls, new stars have been born and will be born. You live in the Orion Arm, part of a barred spiral galaxy roughly a third of the way out from the center. Your sun is one of hundreds of billions. Many of those stars have planets. We know this now not as a guess, but as a repeated measurement, a song of small dips in starlight, of tiny wobbles and split spectral lines that mean a world is tugging. Somewhere, on some night under a different sky, someone could point up and trace their own river, and know that a small world is looking back, equally curious and equally tired in the good way of a long day's end. Turn your mind along the river's route, and let it walk by landmarks you may know in name even if you've never seen them raw. There is the Great Rift, a long chain of dust lanes running through Cygnus, dimming the river and dividing it into two pale streams. There is the North America Nebula, a red map of a continent in hydrogen glow. There is the Aquila Rift, a darker branch. The star clouds of Scutum, the small, bright M24, sometimes called the small Sagittarius star cloud, like a window where the dust thins, and you can see deeper than usual. There is the Pipe Nebula in Ophiuchus, a simple L-shaped darkness that stands out simply because it has the courage to be black against all that light. Each one is a piece of texture. Each one is a reminder that the river's softness is made of millions of hard-edged facts. If you lifted above the river, if you climbed out of the disk and looked back, The band would fold itself into a grand design, a central bar, spiral arms unwinding, star formation, tracing those arms like frost blooming along glass. Tidal interactions with small satellite galaxies tug on the edges. The Magellanic Clouds leave a stream of gas, like a wake on the galaxy's sea. Dark matter unseen, but weighing far more than all the stars, holds the whole structure together, an invisible frame carrying most of the mass. You do not need the details to rest. It is enough to know that the quiet you feel beneath the river is supported by something strong and steady. And there is a future even for rivers. Long from now, so far that it occupies the part of the mind where fairy tales live. The Andromeda Galaxy and the Milky Way will draw together. They already are. Andromeda is coming toward us slowly in human terms, and quickly in cosmic ones. In several billion years, the two spirals will begin to interpenetrate and merge. It will not be a crash of suns. The spaces between stars are so large that very few will meet head-on. Instead, orbits will reshape, gas will rattle and compress, bursts of star formation will ignite, and the final result will be a new, larger galaxy with a new shape, a new river. No one you know will be there to see it, but somehow the knowledge feels soothing. Even grand structures have arcs to their stories, and change at that scale is a tide you can let lift you into sleep. Perhaps you are listening from a city, and the river is hidden behind a dome of light. That is all right. Part of the story of this river is that it is patient. It has waited for eyes to look up in deserts and on ships, and in mountain meadows, and on quiet balconies, when the power went out and the night returned to its ancient depth. If you ever find yourself somewhere dark on a beach after the moon sets, on a hillside at 2 in the morning, on a ferry deck where the wind keeps you awake, give your pupils time. Turn off the lamp. Let the cones in your eyes rest. Let the rods take over. Let the glow sharpen. At first you will see grey. Then the grey will thicken into a woven cloth. Then a dark seam will run through it, and a bright knot will appear, and another, and the river will be there, in a way no photograph can quite teach. Breathe in, and let it lay a hand on your shoulder. If you want a simple ritual to bring you closer to the river from anywhere, try this. Imagine your mind is a slow raft. Set it upon the band of light and let it drift. As you float, count gentle truths instead of sheep. 1. The light of Deneb has been traveling for more than 1,000 years to reach you. It left the star when empires were drawing new borders on parchment and never stopped. 2. The sun is circling the galaxy. Tonight you moved many thousands of kilometers around the center without feeling a thing. 3. The atoms in your blood were made in stars. The iron in your hemoglobin was built in the core of a dying sun before the Earth existed. 4. Somewhere deep in the band are clusters where stars are born every year from dust and gas, their infant light pushing away the very clouds that sheltered them. 5. The river you see is the edge-on sum of 100 billion worlds, all real, all turning, all warming their own nights. By the time you reach 6 or 7, you will feel the river pulling on you in the way a lullaby does, not with force, but with belonging. It is not just sight that brings you into the river's quiet. There is the sense of scale, spacious in a way that gives room to whatever you carried to bedtime. A worry that filled your whole day can sit on the riverbank for a while, not gone but smaller against the spread of things. There is the rhythm of cycles, short and long, your breath, the beating of your heart, the rotation of the earth, bringing night and day, the sweep of the moon around us, tracing tides, the path of the earth around the sun, bringing seasons, the sun's path around the galaxy, bringing epochs, the galaxy's future dance with its neighbors, bringing transformations. Each cycle holds what came before. As you listen, you are held too. For those who like details tucked under the pillow, there are a few more to rest on. The disk of the galaxy is not just stars. It contains spiral waves, patterns where gas and dust compress and release as they orbit, like cars bunching and separating on a ring road. Where the wave compresses, star formation lights up, and the arm looks brighter. Between arms, the light softens, but does not end. The dust lanes are not dirty. They are the raw material for future light, and they redden starlight, passing through them the way a sunset reddens the Sunday. On clear, moonless nights, observers in very dark places can see the zodiacal light, a faint triangle along the ecliptic, sunlight scattered by dust within our own solar system, the Gegenschein, an even fainter brightening opposite the Sunday. These small additions are like fireflies near the bank, joining the river but separate from it. If rhythm helps you rest, we can set the story to one. The river rises in the south, flows up through the Eagle, crosses the Swan's back, passes the Queen's chair, and falls again toward the Hunter's belt by winter, then settles, then returns. With every return, you are a little older, and so is the light you see, but the pattern holds. This is the part of astronomy that feels like a kind hand. The sky is not a puzzle to be solved and set aside. It is a companion you can visit. The more you learn of its facts, the more it rewards you with feeling. Knowing the name of a nebula does not steal its mystery. It adds a note to a chord you already love, and still, beneath all the texture and all the numbers, there is the simple act of lying back and letting the white band pour across you. Somewhere along that band, on a small world with a name we have not learned, another listener may be doing the same, letting their mind drift along their river, counting their truths, thinking their own future, and carrying their own day into the kind night. When you share the river, you share something large without needing to own it. The light is given freely. The time was paid long ago by the stars themselves. If you find your thoughts wandering to distances and durations, let them. Let the mind take a slow walk. Light crossing the space between stars, collapsing gas, warming into stars, planets taking shape from rings of dust, like snowflakes growing on a windowpane, oceans forming, air thickening, creatures lifting their eyes. None of this is rushed. The river has room for slow stories. Your story is one of them. Now the night grows deeper still, and the world grows quieter still, and the river goes on doing what it has done since before there were people. It gathers the light of uncountable suns into a band we can understand at a glance. Not everything has to be solved. Some things are here to be trusted. The Milky Way is one of them. You can rest beneath it without finish lines or arguments. It will still be flowing when you wake. So breathe in and breathe out, and let the quiet river of stars carry you. If your eyes are closed, picture that soft band and the dark lanes braided through it. Picture the bulge low on the horizon, like a slow sunrise of far-off suns. Picture the way it arches up and over, east to west, season to season, age to age. If your eyes are open and lucky enough to be in the dark, let the band have you whole for a minute. Let it make every small noise in your life seem smaller, and every kind thought seem larger. In the end, that is what the river is for. It is a reminder that we live inside something vast and patient and ongoing, and that our days, bright, messy, dear, are carried along by a current we can trust. When you are ready, you may set your raft against the bank and step into sleep. The river will be here when you drift back in the morning. It always is. It always has been. Good night. May the hush of the galaxy be the hush of your room. And may the quiet river of stars guide you gently, steadily, all the way into rest.